All right, let's get started. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Mind the Moment's Tuesday morning gathering, brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. And this is a place where we invite experienced mindfulness instructors to speak with us about what mindfulness means to them and to discuss as a community how we can incorporate these practices into our daily lives. I'm Suzanne Rowe Palacino, and I'm delighted to be here this morning with Zeenat Potia, one of Harvard Pilgrim's esteemed meditation instructors. So nice to have you here this morning. Good morning to you, Zeenat.
Good morning, Suzanne. It's wonderful to see you, and I'm delighted to be with everybody this morning. So a warm welcome to all.
Yes, thank you so much. And definitely so nice to have you here this morning. And for anyone that's new, a special welcome. We're so happy to have you here. We have a great little group of folks that are regulars. So we always are delighted to have them here as well. And we're just happy to be together this morning to explore mindfulness together. So today we will start off with a question. Zeenat will pose that question for us this morning, and then she'll share some words with us and just guide us directly into approximately a 12-minute guided meditation practice. And the reason why we speak about that 12 minutes, this has come to a conclusion by Dr. Amishi Jha, a really wonderful mindfulness researcher, that is really the sweet spot of when there's really significant change that can be shown in people's lives and their anatomy of their brain when one meditates regularly. So she'll share a 12-minute guided practice with us, and that will be a little bit of guidance as well as some silent time. And then after that, we'll have time for any questions or comments. So if you can go to the bottom of your Zoom screen, open up the chat, and you can click the blue drop-down menu that says host and panelists and click it to change it to everyone. So again, so nice to have everyone here this morning. So, and with that, Zeenat, let's start off with the question. What did you have for us this morning?
I would like to offer just a little bit of background in terms to set up the question for us. And so often when we meet a difficulty or a stressful situation, or if you will, any kind of trigger, whether it's physical, mental, emotional. So, as human beings, we're moving through the world and we're receiving input from the external world. And so what I've named is things that happen. There's the little annoyances, and then sometimes they can be big challenges that we encounter. And our psychobiology as human beings, what happens is the amygdala, the most reptilian part of our brain, kind of gets activated. This happens really, really quickly and almost automatically. And then we go into fight, flight, or freeze response. This is a survival mechanism that we're hardwired ancestrally with this makeup or this structure. So it's really useful to know what's happening. And then the amygdala acts as a threat response, acts in those ways. And I want to take up the freeze as something, a habitual tendency or a reaction, the freeze response. And one could arguably say, and I would invite you to consider if it's been your experience over these 3 years of a global pandemic, of living through it, it may even feel like an extended freeze response. There's just such a high threat alert. And of course, compounded by what we're seeing unfolding around us, climate change. These are sort of global things, and then we might have our own personal challenges and problems that we are grappling with in our own homes, in our communities, in our families. And so you're piling all of this on. The alarm system is, going off, And freeze is actually, there's some intelligence there if you look at it. If you look at it with curiosity and compassion, and the spirit of wanting to understand rather than condemn or think, oh no, that's bad. Just to consider, oh, of course, you see a big threat, you're gonna kind of pause in place, you're gonna freeze, you're gonna just go, whoa. That's the body's way of recalibrating before it can know what to do. The maladaptive part of freeze response is it really freezes us. And it feels amusing to me to be using frozen metaphors in the heat of summer. But especially, in the heat of summer, if you think about it too, you literally cannot move when it's too hot. So it sort of applies. And so, Suzanne, if you can offer the question, just would like to bring your voice in.
Yeah. So the question is, when you're in freeze response, what kind of movement helps you gently thaw out? So when you find yourself in freeze response, what kind of movement helps you gently thaw out?
So to share in the chat, and the reason I offered the word movement is that when one is in freeze, it can be quite challenging to just drop into a meditation. If we can connect to embodied awareness, connect to the felt sense of the body, it can be an accessible way to gently and kindly begin to loosen and to get unstuck. And movement, is a wonderful way in which we can do that. And so many different cool ideas. And I'd love to hear from you. And to share from your lived experience when you feel stuck, like literally nothing can unstuck you. What sort of movement helps you?
Yeah, I'll throw in my thoughts on this. And Loretta's already shared this one, walking, and Tammy as well. Walking and yoga really helps me. And I think it's the breathing aspect of doing yoga with the exercise.
Yes, connecting breath to movement. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how about you, Zeenat?
For me as well, I adore walking. I really, really do. There's something about, engaging those bigger limb muscles, feeling the contact of the earth, being outside in the fresh air can really help shift things for me. So it's something that's enjoyable. It's pleasant.
Yeah, the fresh air is a huge part of that for me too. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And if there's a breeze, there's something about a breeze that just makes everything feel like the movement is there's freshness in it. Lots of great comments. Reading, Elisa's mentioned reading. That can really help me. I find that gets me, like, moves me to another space completely, especially I like fiction reading, but yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. Walking outside by myself, Julia said, and paying attention to the beauty in my surroundings, finding something to almost distract me from my suffering. Yes, yes, and yes. Oh, swinging outside under a tree. I love that, Sandy. I can totally picture that.
Yeah, and just that repetitive rocking motion is said to be very calming for the body. Also, walking in the garden from Robin sounds like a wonderful way to engage the hands, with the earth, feeling connected to nature, and then the physicality of walking in the garden is wonderful too.
Yeah. Connecting with my husband, a friend, or my dog. Yeah. Just having someone outside of yourself that can bring you out a little bit. I think this is so helpful. Yeah.
And Qigong, I've found it I'm newer to it, but when I have done it with others, and typically on a meditation retreat, can feel just like a kind of gentle flowing river type of movements are really supportive.
Yeah, that's something I haven't been as, just a little bit exposed to, but it's supposed to be so healing. So that's something I've really considered lately.
Mm-hmm. And then EFT tapping too is a kind of movement that I know that a lot of research shows is useful. I just wanted to offer this phrase that I've heard: move a muscle, change a thought. Move a muscle, change a thought. I thought that was really useful.
Yeah. Yeah, our bodies can really wake us up to a lot of different things, and take us out of our head. So important. Dan, I just need a kick, something, anything, a trigger, an emotional response, a book, a sad movie, even the right video game can do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I can just see all of those things, that kick, the kind of a touch or a nudge. And then you can always almost think of that as a support. It's a resource that is saying, hey, it's okay to feel this, or it's okay to step out of this. I love that, to really allow the system to feel like you're on the same side, that that the freeze response is not a problem per se. I think it's so much of our conditioning is to fix or to see things in binaries of good and bad. But from my training in internal family systems, or IFS, and it's really a paradigm shift to kind of have this attitude of no bad parts. The freeze response is doing its thing. It has an intelligence. How can we work with it in a way that's embracing, that's trying to understand? I love that Colleen is sharing about just interesting observation of the freeze in dreams. So interesting.
Yeah.
Sidebar of self-awareness. Really good.
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks, Zeenat.
My pleasure. So let's shift to meditation, and if you like, we can continue working with this theme even in our practice. So finding yourself upright. If you need to thaw out with any kind of gentle stretches or movement before you commit to coming into stillness. And this stillness is not the stillness of freeze. It's the stillness of gathering, of centering, of grounding, of steadying the system. So to invite that kind of friendly intention of settling into a refuge. And anything I offer is an invitation. Please feel free to modify or to not do what doesn't agree with you. Softening and gently coming into stillness, upright, soft eyes, or eyes closed. Checking in consciously with mindfulness to see how things are right now, how things are. Letting go of the constant need to control, to change, to fix. And this inquiry is on several levels: bodily level, the felt sense of and in the body right now? How are things? With a real wish, a curiosity, a warmth, an engagement to truly know, to truly see and to feel, and to be open to experience in the here and now. How are things, excuse me, in the heart mind? And then, if you had a couple of minutes to just be with the breath, sound, sensations, to establish some steadiness, some mindfulness. So we'll do a little bit of parts meditation. And so opening up and seeing, is there a predominant sensation or a thought or an emotion that's very present right now? That maybe has qualities of feeling frozen or stuck. It's maybe a part that you've encountered before or that you know well, or it may be something you're not that familiar with, but you can still sense it. You might have an image or a sensation or a color or a repetitive, intrusive thought or a strong emotion. So choosing something that's here right now. And given that we have a short amount of time, I would encourage you to choose on a scale of 1 to 10, something that kind of falls in the middle or on the lower end of the scale in terms of intensity. And knowing for yourself how it is right now. What is its texture? And we're not going at this with our ordinary mind, with our cognition, shining the light of awareness on this part. A warm, loving willingness to know it, to learn about it. Let the part know that you're listening, that you're here. You could ask if it wants to tell you something or wants to share something with you. Deep listening. Taking a moment to pause with whatever you learned or heard from that part. Continuing to ground, feeling the feet on the floor, steadiness of the breath, staying connected to that part that's maybe opened itself up a little bit. If it hasn't, if it didn't want to share right now, let it know that that's fine as well. That you're just spending some time with it. There's no pushing, there's nothing it has to do that it doesn't want to do right now or share. So communicating to the part that you've heard it. And then just, how do you feel towards that part? How do you feel? You might want to offer the part a wish of loving kindness and let it know that this conversation is to be continued, to thank it and appreciate its willingness to show up. And then just a phrase, may you be loved, protected, guided, and held. May you be loved, protected, guided, and held. May we be loved, protected, guided, and held. And then you can imagine the part receding back. And then gradually I'll offer a bell and we'll bring this practice to a close. So taking your time as you return, perhaps stretching, opening the eyes. And would like to thank you for your practice.
Thank you so much, Zeenat. It's really nice to be able to focus on those parts that, that we're feeling stuck with, but not to give too much, not to be thinking about them too much, but just see how our body reacts to them. It's an easier way to deal with them rather than trying to dig in and say, okay, why is that happening?
Yeah, exactly. And to trust that, our mind-body system is always inclining towards healing, towards a state of balance and well-being, and that wisdom, that intelligence, that knowing resides in each one of us. And we can tap into it when we can open with curiosity and compassion and courage. It can almost encourage the thawing out from within. We don't have to do anything to it to make that happen. We just have to create the conditions, and then it's always inclining towards healing.
Mm.
And we can support one another. It's harder to do alone, so community helps. So thank you everyone for your comments, and know that you can do this on your own too. When you feel frozen, to just kind of check in and make some space to listen to the part that might be frozen or that might be scared. What does it need, and how can you help it unfreeze?
Yeah, it's really nice what you've just mentioned too, that the body's and the mind's natural healing process, that it's inclined to heal, so that we don't feel like something is a permanent situation. It's that's just the way the body works.
It's natural, exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So important. Thank you so much, Zeenat. It's really nice to be together with you this morning and together with the rest of the group. So thank you everyone for joining, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:30. So we will see you soon.
Okay.
Have a good
Thank
day,
you,
everyone.
Thanks, Suzanne. Bye.
Bye.